Hello. It is so crazy how fast time has gone. I am now 21 weeks pregnant. I have a little bump and everything now. And things are going really well. And it's so fun to watch first finding out, because when you first find out, you really don't feel pregnant yet, or at least I didn't for a little bit, and it doesn't hit you until some of the major milestones hit. So many things have happened since then. Right after I found out I was pregnant that day, I had a trip planned to visit one of our really good friends, Riley and Dylan, in San Francisco. And I had just found out I was pregnant, and I was really worried that Riley was going to find out, and I wanted to tell her so badly. But it was just a big deal. I mean, this is my very first baby. It's my parents' first grandbaby. And in my hierarchy or priority of telling people, I had this really strong desire to tell the important people in my life in person first. And Riley is so important to me and one of my best friends, and I wanted to tell her so badly, but I felt like I needed to tell my family first and Brenton's family first. So that was a little bit stressful, because we had originally planned to go to this little spa that Riley likes and go in the sauna. And we love going to saunas together. And then I got there and realized, oh shoot, I cannot get in the sauna. And if she asks why I can't go in the sauna, she's just gonna know, because she'll just find out. She'll know me. I won't be able to lie, and she'll just find out. But something happened where we couldn't go. We couldn't get an appointment or something. We ended up shopping and getting foot massages at this place called Toasis in San Francisco, and it was actually really nice. But I managed to get away without telling her, although it was so hard. That trip, I'd also been prepping for a big work trip to Toronto with the brand Indeed Labs, and I needed some really cute outfits for that trip. And so I bought this skin tight denim dress that was so cute, and it was snowy, so I needed a jacket. We went to Reformation and got that, and I'm just laughing how I got a really tight dress right when I found out I was pregnant, but I knew I was going to be able to fit into it for a while, so it was fine. Eventually going on the trip to Toronto, that was really interesting as well. I felt good for most of the time. However, on the plane, that's when I experienced my first symptoms of nausea. I'd never gotten morning sickness, but I did feel pretty nauseous on airplanes, sometimes in the car when I had had very little sleep, not a lot to eat, and landing, when the airplane was landing, that's when I got nauseous. Thankfully, never threw up. I did get a little bit of a stomach bug while I was there as well on the last day, but that was just coincidental, had nothing to do with any pregnancy symptoms. But that trip was really fun, and I quickly kept traveling. As soon as I found out I was pregnant, thankfully I haven't had too bad of morning sickness symptoms, because if I had, I'm sure that would have made traveling a lot harder. So I have some notes here. I thought it'd be fun to share a bit about my first trimester, what it was like, the symptoms I had. But before that, I think I want to preface to me getting pregnant and why I decided to have a baby now. So I am 26 now. I just turned 26 in May, and my mom had me when she was 26. And I've always wanted to be a young mom, and I felt like growing up, my mom was really energetic and able to be really active in our lives and do all these things with us. So in my mind, the back of my mind, I've always thought, okay, 26 would be a great age to have my first baby, just like my mom. And I've always wanted to become a mom. It's something that I've wanted my entire life. I love kids. I love babies. I've always pictured myself as a mom, and I know that's one of my big callings in life. But I was perfectly content to be an auntie for a very long time and just love on all my nieces and nephews and my friends' babies. But I started noticing around last summer, some of those feelings started to shift. Brenton and I had tentatively planned when we first got married that we would wait a few years before we started to have kids. That way we could travel and just spend a lot of great bonding time together. And we had our 4-year anniversary in September. And that summer, this last summer, I started noticing some feelings change, as in, oh, I actually wouldn't mind having a baby. Where in the past I said, I'm so excited to be a mom, but I'm not ready yet. Those feelings were starting to change to, I'm excited to be a mom and I would be happy if I got pregnant now. So that happened, and then I kind of became aware of just a baby that wanted to come into my life. When I was meditating or I was dreaming, I would dream about a baby, and it was really telling that there was a baby kind of orbiting me, or that was on my mind at least. And I started to realize, okay, baby could be coming. It's time to really prepare myself to have a baby. I'm still not ready quite yet. Brenton and I wanted to finish off selling his business that he had in Virginia and kind of do some other little life things really quickly. But I started to get serious about preparing myself physically, preparing my body, supporting my fertility, and preparing myself mentally to get pregnant. So when the time is right, it would all be ready to go. And so thankfully we were able to do that, and we kind of planned for beginning of the year. We had kind of hoped that we would be settled in Texas by then, but that's not how life worked out. We're still here in California, and we ended up getting pregnant, which I'm so grateful for. So yeah, that's the preface to preparing to get pregnant. So I think that those videos where I found out, that was February 24th, and that was the day I found out. Quickly started doing all the things, got some blood work to confirm I was pregnant, and started going down the road of just prepping to tell friends and family, but wanting to wait a little bit as well, and started going down the road of checking all the boxes, what to do when you find out you're pregnant. Okay, I got out my journal because I wanted to remind myself of my first trimester. It's just gone by so fast. It's like a blur already. So found out I was pregnant. Some of the symptoms that I were having, my boobs were a little bit sore. I had some period-like cramps that were very faint, I had a little bit of nausea, and those are the symptoms I had first finding out. Later on, I still had pretty mild symptoms, which I'm very grateful for, because I know first trimester for a lot of moms can be really, really hard. Oh, this was kind of interesting. In Toronto, there was a tarot reader, and the tarot reader was able to kind of find out I was pregnant right away. And she said some very interesting things. She said the baby will be a Sagittarius, which is what I originally thought. I thought the baby was going to come in September, and Brenton's a Sagittarius. But I think it'll actually be October because my due date is Halloween. So we'll see if it ends up being a Sagittarius. She said I will be in a transition period this spring. So I guess spring is already passed, but I guess just being pregnant and changing could be the transition itself. She said in my future house, I will have multiple dogs and horses will be around. So maybe that will be when we move to Texas. And that I'm very in love and things are good with my relationship. So that's great. That was really fun. One thing that was funny about Toronto as well was that a lot of my friends would be drinking these really yummy drinks because we were going out and going to these events for the brand. And they would notice I'm not drinking. And I actually regularly just don't drink at all. But they would ask me if I'm pregnant. And it was so hard because I didn't want to say no, but I couldn't say, yes, I'm pregnant. I had just found out. I hadn't told my family. I hadn't told my best friend. So I just had to say, no, I just don't drink, which is true. But I felt bad. I wish that I could have told them, but I just couldn't tell people. It was too early. So now I've gone back and I've texted some of my friends and said, I actually was pregnant at the time. I just couldn't tell you yet because it was just so soon, so soon. We did do some genetic testing around 10 weeks where you're able to actually find out the gender as well as a lot of different genetic testing. And so technically I could have found out the gender way, way early on. and I decided to wait. Brenton and I wanted it to be a surprise and do a fun little thing, and I was fine not knowing until recently. I just started getting really, really antsy because I wanted to find out the gender and just make it more real in my mind of what I was having, and that way I could start thinking about names and buying things and everything. But I technically could have found out at 10 weeks. A lot of my friends were like, I don't know how you're waiting so long. And I don't know either. I guess I was just really fine, and that it might be because I just had this knowing. I felt like I knew what I was having, so it didn't seem like it would be that important because I just knew in my mind already. But we just found out the gender last week on Father's Day, so stay tuned for that. I'll let you know. I did have some interesting cravings my first trimester. It wasn't anything weird like, you know, you hear pickles and chocolate and all of that. It's more like foods that I hadn't eaten in a really long time, and they suddenly sounded so good. So one thing, I am a huge chocolate girl. I have to have my chocolate, my dark chocolate, every single night. And suddenly I didn't want chocolate anymore. I didn't want chocolate. I wanted salt and vinegar chips. So first it was like, what? You want salty, not sweet? You're a sweet girl. And then I wanted fruity candy. So like Starburst or Jolly Ranchers or Sour Patch Kids. What are those like salty, sweet little mini ropes? They're colorful. I don't know. They're chewy. But yeah, my family and Brenton were like, you don't want chocolate? Who are you? And what have you done with Carolyn? That eventually passed. I think that only lasted for a few weeks. I have no desire to eat fruity candy now, but that was funny. And I still love the salt and vinegar chips, so that has lasted for sure. I definitely like salty things more. I remember really, really loving ice water. And I like drink water throughout the day. You know, I drink my drinks and stay hydrated throughout the day, but I would come home just from a 15-minute walk and then want to chug ice cold water, this big cup of it. So that was funny. Ooh, one day I wanted tart smoothies, like Jamba Juice strawberries, wild smoothie, or strawberry stir frieder. I would make the smoothie with strawberries, banana, and orange juice and ice. So good. I wanted oatmeal a little bit. And then this still sounds good. Just a plain toasted bagel with a ton of plain cream cheese. So good. Now at 21 weeks, and this is something I've heard so many pregnant people say, that they love cereal. And I haven't had cereal in forever, but recently I've been loving cereal. I've been getting the cereals from Trader Joe's with whole organic milk. The Frosted Mini Wheats I have right now, it's really good, from Trader Joe's. But I also got another one from Trader Joe's, Vanilla Almond Crunch, so good. Some not so great symptoms that I had. Again, I really can't complain because they weren't that bad, thankfully. I did have some really strange headaches, and that was one thing I noticed when I was traveling. And I started noticing a pattern actually. When I was traveling, I wasn't taking my magnesium supplements as much at night. And then when I was traveling, I started noticing some patterns. I would get these headaches, really, really weird, bad headaches at night. They would feel worse when I was laying down or moving around. It felt like there was all this pressure and extra liquid in my head. It didn't feel like a regular headache. It didn't feel like a migraine. It was just weird. And then I kind of connected the pattern to those headaches popping up, especially when I hadn't had some of my magnesium supplements for a while, especially when I was traveling. And that reminded me of something my sister-in-law told me when she was pregnant and she wasn't taking magnesium. She would get really, really tingly, like really prickly, tingly, painful pains in her arms and legs. And then she started taking her magnesium and that went away. So taking those really, really helped. I had some round ligament pain that was a little bit annoying. Sometimes it would be really sharp if I was bending over or moving. That wasn't fun. Probably though, one of the hardest symptoms I experienced in the first trimester was not physical, it was emotional and mental. Even though I was so happy and so at peace, I had some hard feelings, and I'm reading it here in my journal. It says, the last few days have been harder. My motivation is lacking in a lot of ways. I also feel sad and kind of stuck right now. I wish I was surrounded by more nature. That calms me, but I'm struggling. I haven't meditated in a while. So the biggest thing with this was just this feeling of low mental energy. Although I physically felt great, I physically had a lot of energy. I had all these ideas and inspiration still coming to my mind for work. I just had no energy or motivation to carry it out. And that was really hard, and I just kind of felt down. So it wouldn't surprise me if some of the hormone changes were causing that, because once second trimester hit, I felt a lot better and I feel much more inspired and motivated to put out work, and I just want to keep working and doing everything I can for as long as I can, because I'm sure once the third trimester comes, it could change, and that's what everyone says, that the second trimester is relatively the best. You get your energy back and things just feel better. So I'm just gonna take it day by day and see how it goes. Anyways, I think that's kind of a little wrap up on my first trimester, and I'm ultimately just feeling really, really grateful for this time and this magical time that I've been waiting for my whole life. I don't take that for granted, and I'm really happy, and Brenton's really happy, and our life is changing, and soon we're going to have a baby. When I was in New York a couple months ago, my mom and I were just walking along the streets, and she said, you know, this is one of the last times you'll be here and just walking by yourself. You know, soon you'll be walking everywhere and you'll have a baby with you. And that was really crazy. It sounds exciting, but I definitely have that in mind, that this is the very last time. I'm just basically responsible for me, and I'm responsible for growing the baby and staying healthy, but there's going to be a new little person in my life that I'm going to have forever, and I'm really excited about that. And I just want to say, I cannot thank you enough for all of your support and your love and your kind words. I see everyone, I read everyone, I try to reply to everyone, and I'm just so grateful I have all this amazing, sweet energy coming to me, and thank you. Again, I love you all, and I will keep you updated. There will be so much fun content coming, like pregnancy skincare and just all things pregnancy and showing our life as it changes, and I'll be posting that here more, hopefully, on YouTube and then on Instagram and TikTok as well. So let me know if you have any specific recommendations. I love you all, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.